right, good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday, January 8th, 2026, and this is a meeting of the Milford School Committee. We have no one for invitation to speak, so we'll pass over that and go to announcements, correspondence, and distribution. Anybody have anything for that?
I have a quick announcement around iReady testing. So our kindergarten and grade 5 students are currently engaging in the winter iReady testing this week for math. They'll engage in reading iReady during the week of February 2nd, and then our kindergarten dual language students will be assessed in the iReady Spanish literacy during the week of February 9th. Families can expect a letter to be sent home prior to the reading diagnostic at the end of January, explaining the relationship of this diagnostic with our early literacy screening. For the middle school students, they will begin their testing in February for both reading and math, and parent letters will be sent home with the results after February vacation. So if anybody has any questions, people can reach out to their child's teachers about the iReady testing periods.
I just want to thank the Milford Highway Department, our building custodians, and our maintenance team for keeping us moving on time the last couple days. They were up early. The Milford Highway Department, I know, was working through the night last night in pre-salting, pre-treating all of our roadways today. I think I was able to walk around all the different properties and just making sure that all the areas were safe. And I'm proud to say that all of the at least internal grounds of our schools were all cleared and safe and ready for school both yesterday and today. Tomorrow morning looks looks like everything's going to freeze again, so they're going to be up and at it again in the morning. So I just wanted to make sure I said thank you to them on camera, because I appreciate all the work that they do, keeping us moving and keep us on time. So thank you.
Excellent. All right, that'll bring us to the general chairperson update. I have one update, courtesy of Mr. Wilson. Thank you for the MSBA project update. So next Tuesday, the MSBA will be holding their meeting to review the architectural services proposals. Mr. Walsh, Craig, and Chris will be representing Milford. There's 5 proposals that were received and reviewed. The group anticipates narrowing it down to 2 to 3 proposals with potential interviews on the selected companies to follow after that. And that is the entire update, right?
Greg, anything else from that?
No,
That's
that's correct. Yep.
Oh, fantastic. All right, so we'll move forward now with updates from the EL Program Director and the Assistant Director of Multilingual Learners and Dual Language Programming.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having us again this year. We believe that the slides have been shared with you, so we'll just reference the slides, so you'll have them up. On slide 2, you'll see that there's a few definitions, and you can just access those as you see fit throughout the presentation. Tonight we're going to go over some of our demographics for 25-26. We'll look at access state assessment and data. We're right in the beginning of administering our state assessment. We'll then talk about our English Learner Sustainable Improvement Plan, impact dates, and then I'm going to have Julia talk to you tonight about our dual language programming. So the first thing I wanted to point out is on slide 4, you'll see our demographics across multiple years. I want to apologize that in the edition that you got, the years got cut off on the bottom. But I want to pay close attention to you'll see 1,588. That was our SIMS data in 2024. We do not have SIMS data yet in school profiles on the DESE website. So that's missing there, but next year, clearly that will be there, and then moving forward. As of Tuesday, on the 6th, our current English learner designation number is 1,317. So that number there is due to reclassifications, things that are happening politically across our country. And we are seeing some students coming in the Family Resource Center. This week alone, coming back from winter break, we have 5 students who are designated English learners. So this number is growing, decreasing, growing, and decreasing. But we're keeping an eye on our student population district-wide, but also concentrating on looking at our subpopulations of our students with disabilities and our English learners, but that's our current number as of Tuesday. On slide 5, you'll see that these are our percentages per school, and you'll see that at Memorial and Brookside Elementary School, we're staying very consistent as we have in the past, indifferent of new students coming in or students transferring out of district. Our numbers are staying relatively the same as they have in the past 2 years. Where we are seeing a larger decrease is at our middle school and our high school, where students are usually coming, immigrating later on in life, and that's where we're not seeing our students coming, and we're also seeing a decrease of students at that grade level. In slide 6, you'll see that by grade level, and one thing I want to point out is actually this year we have more kindergartners than we have in several years. So it's really interesting to look at the data to think about what's happening demographically across our country, and then looking really micro at each grade level. So we're predicting, or I could predict, that we might have more, or if not the same amount of incoming kindergartners, which will keep our numbers pretty consistent to the 1,300 as we reclassify students, and then new kindergartners coming in. We might be looking around the same numbers next year that we are currently seated at in November. But also things may change. On slide 7, that gives you where the students at in their proficiency levels. You can see that 444 students are at English language proficiency level 1, and then 2, 3, 4, you can see the numbers there. But if you look at that on the bottom of the graph, you'll see that the majority of our students who are at an English language proficiency level 1 are at Memorial and Brookside, because that's where they're beginning their education. And so as students are moving up through the grades, first of all, they're not in order, they're in alphabetical order. I couldn't get that to shift in my graph. So just pay attention that it's like by school and not by grade level. So you'll see that our students are gaining in proficiency across the grade levels, which brings us to reclassification criteria being a 4.2. In slide 9, you'll see that last year we had, over the past 4 years, we've had the highest number of students that we've reclassified. That's a little bit because we're getting back post-COVID of getting our students being immersed in English, getting access to education, and meeting reclassification criteria. We hope to be reclassifying around the same amount of students this year. We will know those results in April. Our first language, and in slide 10, you'll see our EL and FEL student by home language. This has been consistent. We do have more Brazilian Portuguese speakers and are designated as English learners in FELs than we do our Spanish or other languages. In slide 11, you'll see that our district is staying consistent with first language, not English. We are staying consistent at 55% of our students have a home language other than English designated in our X2, which is filled out by their registration paperwork at the Family Resource Center, which means 1 of every 2 of our families utilizes interpretation, and just highlighting the importance of our Family Resource Center and our interpretation and translation staff. And slide 12 is where I'm really, really excited to talk to you. And that's where I really like when we can highlight what we're doing well in Milford Public Schools. In our 2025 access comparison data, we have the highest percentage of L's making progress, 53% of our students on access across the 11 similar school districts. The state average is 44%. Even more so, if you look on slide 13, you can look at specifically our district at grade spans and how they're performing across similar school districts. And Milford, it had the highest SGPA out of our similar 10 districts in grades 1 to 2 span. For the past 3 years in a row, Woodland has had the top SGP on access. At Stacy last year, we had the highest SGPA out of our 10 comparison districts. And at the high school, we were around 7th and 8th out of our 10 districts. And I want to address that because we were given some corrective action in our last tiered focus monitoring. I spoke to you about DESE coming in and doing our tier focus monitoring last year. We were given some action items, and those are being put into place here at the high school. We're really focusing on our curriculum development. You'll see that in the next slide, and also in our partnerships of co-teaching in the math and science classrooms. On slide 15, you have a link to our English Learner Department Sustainable Improvement Plan. We create one of these every year and focus on alignment to the improvements that we need to make in the English language department, also in conjunction with our district strategic objectives. So we have our goal 1, we have new WIDA language charts and curriculum and assessment alignment happening. In goals 2 through 4, you'll see that TFM action items around English language development curriculum for grades 4 through 12. Our goal number 5 is around the alternate access for our students and our English learner students with disabilities in sub-separate programming. There's a new assessment last year, and because we got new scores and new results, we've had to make some shifts in our instruction to meet those test assessments, and we're working around preparation units and progress monitoring. And our 6th goal is around our dual language programming assessment. In slide 16, I just want to give you an update of the dates that we are, our MPAC, our Multilingual Parent Advisory Council, is meeting. Our first date of this year was on October 28th, and it was an evening with Superintendent Dr. Consigli, where he led a discussion group on his new platform as superintendent. On January 13th, which is just next Tuesday, our curriculum supervisor of literacy, Carol Seversky, will be leading a discussion on literacy initiatives and iReady assessments, and so our families will be able to meet with her next week. Our March date is still TBD, and in May we'll be working with families around English language development programming and WIDA access, because we'll have our student results at that time. And then I'm going to pass it over to Julia for dual language programming, which starts on slide 17.
Thank you. Yeah, starting off on slide 17, you're going to see a couple of charts showing the student populations in our 2 current kindergarten classrooms, as well as the 3 wait lists that we have. So we had almost a third of our incoming kindergarten students who registered last year join our lottery. So we do have these wait lists. We do see some movement in the classrooms and movement off of our wait lists. This has been entirely due to families changing residences. There have been no families who have withdrawn from the program by choice. Moving on to slide 18, you're just going to see some highlights, a little bit of student work, and a link to the newsletter from our first trimester. As expected, all of our students are participating in equal programming as other students. They're using Expeditionary Learning for their English literacy, HMA Toriba La Lectura for Spanish literacy, which is also a Greenlit program, and they participate in IM for math. We've been able to provide some of our special programming in Spanish from time to time for students. So when Miss Marcela comes to do an SEL lesson with students, she's able to do that in Spanish. They also participate in library in Spanish every other week. We've been able to work that out. Moving on to the next slide, you're going to see some upcoming events for spring 2026. These are our enrollment and lottery events. This list is based on the activities we did last year. It's a little bit curated and a little bit tighter. We expect that these are going to be our annual activities each year through kindergarten registration and leading up to the dual language lottery. These are led by me as the assistant director, other dual language staff, and also FRC staff. On the next slide, 20, you're going to see a little bit about grade 1. So while we have kindergarten in implementation right now, and while we are preparing for next year's kindergartners to come in, we also have a third plate spinning in the air, and that's getting ready to roll up to grade 1. So we have already identified our grade 1 teachers, and they're working in partnership right now in a switch model pilot, so we can work out any scheduling issues that might come up unexpectedly before we bring on Spanish instruction as another complicating factor. I meet regularly with our grade 1 teachers during TCTs to talk about how the pilot is going and to prepare for next year, thinking about what schedule is going to work best and how they're going to be doing their instruction. Also, later this spring, you're going to see our grade 1 budget initiatives for FY27. Right. Moving on to the next slide, 21. We also have a 6-year implementation and rollout plan for K through 5. So that sheet is organized with a different school year in each tab, and it's listing annual activities that we'll need to accomplish during implementation as we're, preparing for the next year and implementing a certain grade level. And you're also going to see some major milestones, such as implementing the dual language design team at Woodland in the next year, when the students actually arrive at Woodland, doing Woodland building signage, things like this. Right. On the next slide, hand in hand with our implementation plan, I've also included a projected budget for K through 5. So this is what we first see as being budget initiatives each year going forward. This is based on our current spending and our current plans. It doesn't include, of course, things that might be subject to change, like programmatic transitions, things like that. We also often get a lot of deals from our person at HMH, Shelly. She's the best. She'll throw in a little digital license with us to save us a bunch of money on handbooks if we need it. She's great. So none of that is included in there because I can't put that on Shelly right now. But that's what I've got for you. And I think we have some time for questions.
Yeah.
For either of us.
Thank you.
Yeah, we talked fast.
Anybody
Sorry.
have any
No, I don't think they mind.
questions?
First, amazing. Like, this data looks awesome. I'm so happy to see the progress. So congratulations to you and the whole team. I think it speaks volumes about what you've been able to do over the course of several years. One question for you, Julia. So I see the wait list.
Mm-hmm.
Do you foresee in a year or two, if that wait list continues for cohorts, new entering cohorts, do you foresee asking for more teachers to support a second group of the immersion program?
That's a big question. So when we started these 2 classrooms, we didn't add any classrooms to
Right.
Memorial, right? We converted 2 classrooms. If we're seeing interest in the community, I think it would be a big project to bring on another classroom, and it would really depend on movement of our teachers who are maybe deciding to leave Milford or retire, who we have already on staff. For example, if in kindergarten in a few years we had a staff who was fully bilingual in English and Spanish, they could teach one, what do you call it?
Like a self-contained.
Self-contained, thank you. They could teach one self-contained class and still do a 50-50 model. There just wouldn't be a switch, right? So we could do that. But we would have to think about what's going to happen to those students in grade 1. Do we have someone on our grade 1 team? So I see it almost as if we were going to expand, it would be like starting a whole second program,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, I think it's something to think about for the next 5 years, at least.
And do you have like a threshold in mind of like, if the wait list is always 40 kids every year, like would you say, hey, we should probably explore that?
I might consider looking at what school the students are zoned to originally, and if it was pretty much equal between Memorial and Brookside, it might be a better idea to start a program at Brookside.
Awesome.
Might be
Thank
easier.
You.
Mhm.
So I've been around long enough that I remember when this was like a lofty idea, and so it's just so amazing to actually see it in action. So Craig, I hope we can get back on the school tour route at some point, because I'd love to just get into this classroom and just like
Sure.
see it first, one of these classrooms, see firsthand. It's amazing. So thanks for all the work. Jen, I was curious kind of what the MPAC involvement has been this year, just given kind of some of the broader context. I know we went to one meeting, the room was literally standing room only. Just curious kind of how that's working.
Yeah, so based on this year so far, like when we had our October meeting, it was also when ICE was very present in Milford and Massachusetts. And so we had about 28 families that day. And just as many children in the child care. We did offer just the other night an access overview for our families, and 9 families showed up. So there's still a lot of fear in the community, even though ICE isn't as active. Thank you. So I can't. It's very hard to predict at this time, but I will say, tonight was like one of the lottery nights for our our English class, adult classes here at the high school in partnership with Framingham Public Schools, and the parking lot is packed. So you,
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious. Yep. Excellent. And then any sort of thoughts or impact in terms of as we evolve the graduation requirements on our high school EL students that are still making progress, right? That are.
can you clarify your question?
So we're kind of evolving, right? We're adjusting. We're no longer using MCAS, so now we're sort of
Correct.
expanding kind of the graduation requirements. I was just curious, kind of any interaction with some of our EL learners.
Yeah, so I guess this is a good question because the state hasn't shifted any impact on access.
Okay.
So students are still required to
Oh,
take
interesting.
access.
Okay.
It's still a high stakes assessment. They're
Interesting.
still
Okay.
required to hit the 4.2.
Okay.
So although there has been shifts on MCAS, there's been no shift on access.
Okay. Just curious. Thanks.
Thank you. This is something that, since I've been on school committee, I've been wanting, so this is great. To kind of continue with Brendan's questions as far as expanding the program. We are in budget season, and obviously this is going to be a long-term project. Are you getting what you need as far as resources from the district? This is a good time to bring up if you're not, if you need something, or even think of expanding. Every budget cycle, we want to know initiatives to make decisions. So,
Yeah. At this time, we haven't had to make any tough decisions about funding. So just with the 2 classrooms, we've been able to use allocated funding to purchase what we need. Going forward, as you can see in the projection, there are certain costs that are going to be like one-time costs or every 5 years, right? So for example, next year, we're looking to teach social studies in Spanish. So we hope to order these Spanish language social studies magazines. Now, they're not really magazines like the Scholastic readers that we get. They're magazines that will probably last 3 to 5 years. Right, so we'll see that cost coming up 3 to 5 years as we have to replace those. There are certain online platforms and assessment programs and trainings that are going to be purchased each year, and that will increase until we're in full implementation through grade 5, right? Those are things that we're going to need every year. In terms of things that we maybe don't have that would be really good, I think an additional special education staff would be really helpful. So we essentially added a 3rd inclusion classroom to the kindergarten classes at Memorial, right? Without adding another teacher. We were able to add a TA, and she's fabulous, and she works in the classroom. She also works in other classrooms, right? We do have students with IEPs in our program, and that's normal and expected and fine, and it's going to continue that way. So basically each year, the way we do special education at Memorial and in other schools, we're adding another inclusion classroom. That doesn't necessarily mean we need a new teacher every year, but it does mean we have to rethink how we do scheduling, especially across grade levels that are on different timetables.
has that been requested in the budget process?
I believe Lisa Burns included that last year and this year.
All right, thank you.
I also think just another point about budget that is that's good for you to know as you're looking at the budget links that Julia provided in the slides is there are different costs as it rotates. So our iReady, our students are able to take their diagnostic in English and Spanish at no additional cost because we already purchased that product. Our illustrative mathematics program is available in English and Spanish. So every year when we order the new booklets for the students, we order them just in Spanish, right? So sometimes there's not an additional cost. When our instruction of science and social studies that year, because they flop each year, right, is in Spanish, that's when we're required to buy some more materials because those don't already exist and we don't have a purchase program for those contents yet. And so that's where you'll see like a flip-flop of price increase.
Thank you.
Real quick on the budget link, thanks for that, by the way, that's excellent to have. Some cells are highlighted yellow. What's the difference between yellow and blue?
Yep. Yellow indicates that those are materials that were purchased with local funds that weren't in a budget request. Right, so this is the first year I actually sat down with Lisa Burns and looked at the budget together. You're gonna see that there's now a dual language budget line where everything is, so that we can keep track of everything. Instead of splitting it between different places, we can see exactly how much the program is costing. So whatever is in yellow are things that weren't put in as a budget initiative that you all would have approved.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
No questions, just thank you very much for presenting, appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to
Thank you. Thanks, Jen.
report of the superintendent of schools.
Okay, just want to update you on our, where we're at on our on-call OPM services that we had recently had an RFS for. We received 17, I think it was 18. I think we got 18 packages back from different organizations. What was the number?
14.
14. Did we get 14 or 15? No. One of them we didn't accept, right?
Right.
Right, so it was 15, and we went through the number was, we had 15, one of them didn't meet the criteria, so we went with 14. We spent a number of hours going through all the different packages. It was me, myself, Wen, and Carlos. We shortlisted a group of 6 different OPMs. Yesterday we spent 3 hours interviewing the 6 different groups, and we were able to agree upon 4 different organizations to move forward with for our on-call portfolio. So basically, where we go next is we're going to meet with the facilities group subcommittee, and we're going to choose one of the OPMs to run our HVAC upgrade over at Stacy. So we're in the process of letting the different OPMs know whether they were in, out, or what their status is. And once we do that, we'll bring together the group, and then we'll hear from each of the four OPMs, and we'll choose one to move forward, and we'll get working on that so that we can be sure that by the summer we're ready to go, and we'll be able to upgrade we'll be able to utilize the money that the town gave us in the fall for the summer project. So that's where we're at right now.
Excellent. Any questions on that? All right. So we'll go forward now to the report of the school business administrator. I'm just going to take this one. As you can see, there's a personnel update that when provided. If there's any thoughts or questions on that before it goes along. Okay, so we'll go to the consent agenda next. There are 3 items for it. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes before I read this off? See none? Okay. So the consent agenda tonight is going to include the following: the approval of 13 warrants in the amount of $1,467,807.74, the approval of minutes from the December 18th, 2025 meeting, and professional development in the amount of $8,220.28. Motion to approve? Motion by Megan. Second by Michael. All in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. Future agenda items.
Oh, those never enough.
I forgot.
Card keys? The card key thing?
No, I forget.
All right.
What was it?
I don't know, I forgot.
Shoot.
Half a memory between 2 people. That's
I'm
good.
sorry, my.
All right, anybody else? All right. We'll skip it for now then.
Nope.
All right, so that does bring us to adjournment. We do have an executive session set up tonight to discuss the collective bargaining strategy of the upcoming MTA contract negotiations, and we will not be returning to open session. This does require a roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
I'm also a yes. Thank you very much. Good night.